Good morning and welcome to Morning Coach. Today, I am so glad you're with us. As you know, it's JB, and we're excited here to be rocking and rolling this week as we get going. It's a Monday, ready to take it on episode 5113. Man, it's exciting time. A lot of new people. Welcome. Welcome on board. I'm glad you're here. It's about the energy. It's about the planning. It's about the focus. And it's about manifesting the life of your dreams. I want you to just think about that term, manifesting the life of your dreams. Why not? Right? Why not? And so we're going to get into that this week. We're going to talk about what metaphysics is and how does it affect your life. What is it? You know, what is this thing that I keep talking about, metaphysics, that I studied in my corporate world and then left 18 years ago and started off teaching it with Get Out of Neutral. The book was going to be called Return to Power. Maybe I'll rewrite it and call it Return to Power and make some changes in it. But it was really, what a great journey it's been as I've learned more and more about this aspect, from the gray area that we're going to talk about to the very practical stuff that we can apply in our lives today. Well, we're ready to go. First of all, for those of you in the 100-day challenge, one more week. If you're new, don't worry about this. This is something we've been doing. There's a group of people that took on a 100-day challenge. Great job. And as you know, at Morning Coach, we will bring more challenges to you as a member, whether you're on the track that is about organization and structure and, you know, rocking that, or those of you in the personal evolution track. We're here to rock and roll. It's going to be fun. Okay? So rocking that. And by the way, if you haven't had a chance to see it, there's a few people getting together here at the Retreat Center, November 29th through December 1st, for a planning session with me personally. It's a very private thing. We're only going to have 8 to 10 people. That's all I can fit around the Lincoln table. It is a little bit more pricey because it's very exclusive and very private. But if you want to work with me personally and a few amazing people for 3 days just outside Chicago, send me an email, info@morningcoach.com, if you haven't got that email information yet. And we could talk about you coming, make sure it's a good fit for you. We've got a payment plan, but it is definitely going to be a private way to get you set up in your plan and structured so that you can really, really rock it in 2024. Okay? Planner's coming great. Life is great. So we're ready to go. But let's get into this week. I'm excited because we're going to talk about metaphysics. That's the first thing we're breaking into. And then we're going to talk about, obviously, step back to our book, $100 Million Leads. That's tomorrow. Wednesday, we're going to talk about manifesting tips. How do we get this stuff really working for us? Thursday, we're going to talk about why can't I bring what I want into my life on a Thursday. That's going to be a great one. Don't miss that. Friday, we're going to talk about manifesting money, the challenging thing. Saturday, Dr. Paul Kilgore has been killing it, and he keeps bringing it on Saturday, so he'll be bringing some great ideas and tips. And Sunday, which we are already into the middle of the month on Sunday, counting down the days till Halloween, and really when we start focusing our plan, I'm excited. We're going to talk about finding peace in prayer. So I've got an amazing week planned for you. It's all about the energy, and we're going to talk about metaphysics, right? And that was my first love. I was sitting in my office. I'll never forget this. Like where it really came as I was studying all these things. I was in my office and I was miserable. I was working 60, 70-hour weeks, driving to Miami from Plantation, Florida, sitting in the highway, sitting in the traffic, and just getting angry, dressing up every day, no freedom whatsoever, which now I know is my number one value. It wasn't then, but it was then. I just didn't know it. I didn't do any of the work that I've done over the years. But I was sitting there and I was so mad at myself. I was angry at myself because I was like, you should be happy. You're making more money than your parents. You know, you're doing well. You got a beautiful wife, got a car. They gave me a company car, to drive me back and forth. I had everything, an awesome house in Florida. But here I was unhappy, and I was getting really hard on myself for that reason, because it's like, come on, be satisfied. I was trying to use that positive attitude stuff. Just settle. Don't worry about your life. Don't just settle in. And I think that's what a lot of people do and why we have so much misery. I think Dr. Hawkins says 80% of people live in fear and anger. Why is that? Because they just settle like I was. And I almost did. I was close to it. But I think the book that really, triggered me or made me kind of open my eyes up. I guess not triggered's the wrong term. That's kind of a term now people use for getting angry. But something that just really woke me up. That epiphany. That's a better word. How about epiphany? The epiphany came from reading, first of all, this book from, I can't even remember the name of it, Navigating the Future was a book that somebody gave me that was going to the Science of Mind church. And then somebody mentioned Eckhart Tolle, and I read that book, Power of Now. And as I read that book, Power of Now, it really everything started to change for me. I started to go, well, what is this thing about, getting in the moment? I had a Catholic background. I had Christian teachings. I understand the kind of the foundation of faith. And this was pre-Secret, so nobody was really talking about law of attraction. I hadn't gotten to William Waddell's work. I'd written the Think and Grow Rich, but I hadn't really practiced it. But then I read Eckhart's book, and it was like, wow, it opened my mind to this ability of getting in the moment. And I started to really understand that, slowing my brain down and getting in the moment. I think you've heard me tell the story. If you're new, I was driving to work, and I'll never forget, I was driving, I had to take a back road. Sometimes 95 going down to South Florida, we get packed. Take you an hour and a half, 2 hours. So you had to take these back roads once in a while. I'll never forget, I took the back road. Well, everybody else decided to do the same thing. So I was like in Hialeah or one of these towns, and I'm sitting there, and I look up, and there's just these wires everywhere. You've seen pictures of like wires going all over. Well, that's what it was. It's like a telephone pole with wires everywhere. And I looked, and a bird landed on it. And I was just sitting there, and the Power Now was sitting in my chair, and I think I had a Ford Taurus was my company car, gray one. I look up, and I look at these wires, and all of a sudden everything got clear. I just got in the moment. I was like, wow, I'm in the moment. Like, this is what he's talking about. It was like the weirdest place to have this, like, I guess, awakening. Like, wow, this is life. I'm in it. I'm in life, right? I'm at this level of consciousness, like everything slowed down. The colors got brighter. The only way I could say it is like you put on a new pair of glasses. It wasn't like Archangel Gabriel came down and sang or anything. I felt differently. It was like, wow, this is where I'm supposed to be. And so I drove to work that day. I worked, but it was in my head that there's something different out there, and I dove into it. This is why I did Science of Mind. I went and found this PhD in Metaphysics, and I just dove headfirst. I mean, I'm the type of person, when I want to learn something, I read everything. I start studying everything. In fact, I got into horse racing. I think you've heard me say this before. I literally had 72 books on handicapping. I bought every book that you possibly could get. Did the same thing when I did my PhD in Metaphysics. I bought every book that you could possibly get on spirituality and business. And so I dove into this stuff like you wouldn't believe, and I started to understand really more about life. And I studied a lot of stuff that was typical metaphysical, which is philosophy of being. Like, it's the study of being. Academically, metaphysics is the study of being. When you come out of academia, you move into kind of the gray area that a lot of people are into, like energy, law of attraction, tarot, and that type of stuff. And so I stuck my toe into that. I didn't go all the way in, but I really started to understand energy, and I started to take personal development, business, I had my MBA, and this area of metaphysics and blend them all together. And that's where Morning Coach came from. But the original concept comes from like Get Out of Neutral, my original book. It really got my brain around this power that I was feeling, this energy that I was feeling. And so I started to study this stuff, and I was like, wow, does this work? I was very cynical. But then it all started to come into play. Like everything started to change at work. People started getting weird, and maybe I was changing. I probably was, right? And then eventually it led to a big fight with the owner. And I said, you know what? I'm going to write my book, and I'm leaving. Thank you so much. And I ended up leaving. I remember sitting there with the HR manager, and he wanted me to travel more. I'd grown the company 30% a year every year. And I said, what do you want me to do? He goes, I want you to do it my way. I said, I'm making you so much money. Right? He goes, I want you to do it my way. Well, luckily what happened is I ended up leaving the company, but I had set in play a way for him to get purchased out, and they did. I didn't make any money on that deal, but it was a multi-million-dollar deal where he sold the company, which was better for the employees, which I had, obviously cared about. But in that long story, what I'm getting at is I really dove into this, left my job, left my career to go build a life. And that took a lot. It was scary. I wouldn't suggest anybody do it without having a coach or somebody that's been there before, because it was a disaster for the first couple of years. But everything happened the way it should have. And that's really understanding metaphysics. Like, everything made me who I am today. It's why I can coach. If I didn't do that, I wouldn't be the coach and the leader I am today. I wouldn't be able to sit here at this microphone and talk to you the way that I am now, because I've been able to do it. And I'm manifesting the life that I have. And I've manifested bad things. I've manifested good things. And I really believe in understanding that there is a way of a feel and thought that can bring things into your life. I know it's gray area, and I know we have a lot of very practical, intelligent people. We manifest, or we've brought in, right, the most intelligent people in the world. Really smart people. If you look at our core base, it's doctors, it's lawyers, it's IT specialists, it's really smart people. Why are we bringing them? Because I believe that there is this core concept that, hey, there is something deeper out there, and I want to find out how to unlock it. So we don't spend all of our time on this, okay? It's just this month is a big part of it, but I do love to spend time on it because it's what I absolutely love. So what do we have to do? We're going to talk about a few things. The first thing is understanding that gray area. There is this idea of energy in our life. There is the idea of the law of attraction, which means kind of what you think about. And remember, attraction, the last word is action. What you take action will, what you take action to will come into your world. And then there's ideas of like tarot and areas that, you kind of feel things that'll take you down a path. And I'll talk that in a little bit, how I use some of that stuff in a minute. But there's some questions. Does it get in the way of religion? No, religion is your dogmatic belief in God. That's what it is. It's the rules that were set up by human beings to take you towards your path to God. And I'm not going to get into religious pluralism and my beliefs, but what I'm here to tell you is no, this stuff does not get in the way of your religion. I mean, it could violate some of the laws that, you believe that have been set up in your dogmatic religion. But in the universal sense of spirituality and agape love, no, does not get into religion. Is it positive or negative? Okay, again, understanding this at a very deep level, yes, it's positive and negative, but without judgment. It's so hard to judge when we look at 9/11 going, was that positive or negative? As a human being, obviously, we are saying that's negative. There was life's loss. But at a very deep conscious level, that changed the world, right? So was it positive or was it negative? Well, maybe that's what we needed to happen. And again, I'm not saying that we needed that to happen as beings. That was manifested at some level. Okay, and that's a very hard thing to think about. When I read that Hitler was manifested, and killed all those people and brought people, it was hard to understand that for some reason the consciousness brought that through, just as well as all the positive things that are going on. So is it positive or negative? I believe that we've got to watch judgment. But yeah, to me, that's negative, but inherently maybe it isn't, right? And that's hard for me, just in full disclosure. There's things that have happened in my life that to me, I think are negative. So can we manifest the negative? I believe yes. That's what I think the point would be, that is it positive or negative? We got to watch judgment of certain scenarios. Leaving my job could have been seen as a negative, but it was also very extremely positive because it changed my life. So we've got to look at the big picture of things, okay? But yes, I believe we can bring the negative into our life. What is the use? Well, I think the use is the belief level of understanding that if you really believe in this, that it will change your life. That you start to apply principles and things that happen in your life by being a little more positive, by being aware of your thoughts, by consciously understanding how you're feeling. I think these things practically can change your life as well as metaphysically. So even if you don't believe in the metaphysical aspect, being positive, being aware, understanding your feelings, this is going to help you. And we're going to talk about Wednesday on how to manifest. And there's some things in there that, hey, you could say, oh, I'm not into this stuff. But they will work because they're practical things that if you do will make your life better. And maybe at the end of the day, that's the key. Maybe it's not even the metaphysical energy side of things. Maybe it is really just working for you. Maybe all these things are coming together, right? So how does it work? Well, if you believe it works. So how do you practice metaphysics? How do you practice these ideas? Well, first thing you need to do is get clear. This is the biggest issue, and I'm going to talk about this Wednesday. You're going to hear me talk about it all week. You got to be clear. And it's the biggest issue because most people aren't. I would say 90% of the people, maybe 99% of the people, all the way up to that, aren't really clear. And they say the 2%, right? So maybe the 2% are very clear, and we're very clear on what they want to do. I know I'm not. I know it's a constant challenge for clarity. So that's the first step. So do your white belt. That will help you. And as we go into the 2024 plan, and we really are going to get that next year clear. It's going to be really, really important. Okay? The second thing, listen to Morning Coach. Come here and listen and get the information. The more education you can get, the more you're going to learn. Okay? Second thing, slow down. Work your morning routine. Take your planner out and practice the Sacred Six. Why does this work? Because again, if we have clarity in where we're going, we're going to put the energy into the things we're going to manifest. So slowing down and having a real proper morning routine will make it a big difference. And these are practical things that work either way. So even if I can't get you believing in the metaphysics, it will move your life forward. Number 3, focus on peace. Find a way to focus on peace throughout your daily. It's amazing how your brain will change. And again, Wednesday we'll get into this, but the energy you feel is what you're bringing into your life. If you don't feel peace, you're not going to bring it. It's really hard to manifest. Practice LOA. Practice the law of attraction. Again, we're going to get into this Wednesday, but understand that the law of attraction works. Believe in it. Believe in serendipity, and that will come to you. Watch what comes into your life. Be aware. Again, increasing your awareness is being metaphysical. Understanding awareness is such a critical part of things. And again, believe in self and serendipity, and then you're practicing metaphysics. Okay, that's really you understanding it. And I'm going to give you some tips on tarot. Like I use tarot in the morning just to think differently. If you're new, you've heard me talk about this before. There are certain tools and techniques, but really important as you get into our community and you start to utilize our tools and get this education into these life systems, don't be overwhelmed. Okay, take it day by day. Focus on peace. Do the basics. Listen to Morning Coach. Get your plan in place and execute on that day by day. And I'll give you the deeper stuff. I know everybody wants the tricks and everybody wants all the metaphysical things. The truth is you are living a different experience than anybody else, just as I'm living a different experience than anybody else. So you got to figure that out. That's unlocking the key. I'm the guide that's here to help you go along the way. You know, I am the messenger, not the message. As you listen to me, you'll start to unlock the secrets. And that's really what it's about. And they're your secrets, nobody else's. And that's what makes your life amazing. So get out there, have a great one. Go do it to it. Tomorrow we're back to our book study, and I'll be with you every morning right here on morningcoach.com. So lots of love to you.